7, street level. Tier 7 sits right at the bottom of the mutant food chain, but you should never drop your guard around these folks. Their mutations usually show up as tweaked physical traits, strange body shifts, or hyper-focused utility tricks instead of raw, world-ending destruction. They stay strictly inside basic human limits, so their damage output is limited to fistfights, spying, sneaking around, and locking down tiny parts of a battlefield. Clearing out whole city blocks or bending pure cosmic energy is way out of their pay grade. However, their absolute control over their weird personal bodies turns them into deadly operational beasts during tactical missions. In the classic Earth 616 comic continuity, these exact heroes constantly stand on the front lines as the first wall of defense. They use bizarre limbs, wild reflexes, and sneaky movement tricks to embarrass giant foes who throw way bigger punches. Their true power comes down to endless combat practice, wild gymnastic flips, and crazy quick spatial thinking rather than massive brute force. Nightcrawler. Ever wonder what happens when a cheerful circus performer looks like a literal demon? Kurt Wagner, famously known as Nightcrawler, is the textbook hero for this sneaky tier. Growing up in a traveling German circus before Charles Xavier scouted him, Kurt covers his massive heart with dark blue fur and a tail. His main power is teleportation, which works by shoving his body into the spooky brimstone dimension and popping back out somewhere else. Comic books constantly remind us that he needs a clear line of sight or a familiar room. Teleporting blindly into a brick wall will instantly end his heroic career permanently. Basic laws of momentum still apply to his body when he jumps through space. Gravity does not care about his magical portals. Plunging down at terminal velocity means he lands at that same lethal speed unless he rapidly jumps upward to cancel out the dangerous kinetic energy. On top of that, he rocks a super strong tail that holds his entire body weight while swinging medieval swords. Micro suction pads on his hands and feet let him walk up sheer glass walls. He led the British team Excalibur as a dashing swashbuckler, and during one Dark Earth 616 comic moment, he teleported Deadpool's head straight off his shoulders to show off a terrifying off-label trick. Furthermore, he once pushed his body past the breaking point by teleporting 3 miles straight into the freezing upper atmosphere to save Hope Summers. Why? Because he's a sweet guy who occasionally does terrifying things. Who says you cannot throw heavy trucks while solving complex quantum physics equations? Beast. Dr. Hank Philip McCoy, widely known as Beast, is another foundational legend of this utility-focused group. Hank started his career with normal human skin and gigantic hands, gaining wild strength and agility alongside an absurd intellect. His physical body went through a continuous string of tragic mutations over the comic years. He mutated into a gray creature, shifted into his blue iconic simian look, and eventually morphed into a massive lion-like beast. In a chaotic brawl, Beast fights like an acrobatic nightmare with an unpredictable center of gravity. He executes wild flips that make your high school physics teacher cry real tears. 10 tons of physical lifting power let him punch through heavy steel plates, leap across entire battlefields, and crush normal mercenaries. Beyond his long X-Men tenure, Hank served with distinction on major teams like the Avengers and the Defenders. His brilliant biomechanical brain famously cured the horrific legacy virus and saved countless lives. Yet he stays locked in Tier 7 because his combat tricks stay completely physical and local. He survives by being tough. He once took brutal beatings from the unstoppable Juggernaut and lived to write a scientific paper about it. During the popular Astonishing X-Men run, his feral instincts took total control. He tore through armed soldiers with blinding, terrifying speed. Basically, he's a fuzzy blue nerd who will break your collarbone. Tier 6, Superhuman Heavyweights. Heavy armor and endless health bars completely define the massive physical powerhouses shifting inside Tier 6. These frontline tanks bring absurd physical durability, instant healing factors, or body density shifts to every single fight. They act as heavy artillery units, taking direct hits from military rockets and tearing through tanks with their bare hands. Unlike the agile specialists down in Tier 7, these mutants push their bodies far past normal biological limits. Defeating them with standard military weapons is pretty much impossible. Across the Earth 616 continuity, they serve as indestructible shields for their squishier teammates. They intentionally jump into dangerous crossfire and happily survive collapsing buildings, point-blank explosions, or toxic gas attacks. They simply outlast their enemies through pure stubborn physical endurance. Wolverine. What if someone took a bar fight veteran and made him completely impossible to kill? James Howlett, better known as Logan or Wolverine, sits comfortably as the undisputed king of this heavy tier. Born in the late 19th century, Logan packs a legendary healing factor that repairs broken bones and destroyed organs in seconds. Comic history proved his regeneration is so crazy that he once fully grew back from a single drop of blood after the alien villain Horde blasted him. That same healing factor helped him survive the brutal Weapon X experiment, where scientists covered his entire skeleton and bone claws with indestructible adamantium. Enhanced senses let him smell targets across continents and spot shapeshifters instantly. How tough? Very tough. He once survived the villain Nitro blowing up in his face during the Civil War event, turning into a glowing metal skeleton before regenerating his whole body in minutes. What's worse, he routinely gets into bloody fistfights with the Incredible Hulk, using his sharp claws to slice straight through green skin. Add a century of samurai training in Japan, and you get a tiny angry man who simply refuses to die. Colossus. Can a sensitive artist turn his entire body into solid steel without losing his gentle heart? Pyotr Nikolaevich Rasputin, famously known as Colossus, proves you can be a soft-spoken painter and a walking mountain at the same time. Growing up on a simple Soviet farm, Pyotr hides a deeply gentle soul behind a terrifying mutation. He can instantly transform his organic skin into a shiny, impenetrable osmium steel alloy. Metallic form means he does not need oxygen, food, or water, while high-caliber bullets just bounce off his chest. His physical power jumps straight into Class 100 strength bracket, letting him lift over 100 tons without sweating. In classic comics, Pyotr acts as the ultimate shield for the team, smashing enemy bases and blocking lasers. His long history contains truly epic displays of absolute physical power. He frequently trades heavy punches with cosmic titans like Gladiator and the Juggernaut without backing down an inch. What makes it even crazier, he once sacrificed his life to spread the legacy virus cure, suffering immense physical agony as his steel body broadcasted the medicine globally. Later on, during the Fear Itself storyline, he picked up the Crimson Ruby of Cytorak and became the new Juggernaut. That gave him godlike physical power that broke all standard scales. He's essentially a gigantic metal cinnamon roll who could toss a tank over a building. Tier 5, Tactical Energy Forces. Tier 5 leaves physical punching behind and steps right into the realm of wide area energy blasts and chaotic zone control. Mutants in this explosive tier can carry enough natural firepower to flatten whole city blocks in a few seconds. They function as field commanders and artillery units, wiping out enemy squads and smashing fortified bunkers from a comfortable distance. In Earth 616 lore, holding this much raw power requires intense mental focus and constant training. One single mistake can instantly vaporize a local neighborhood. Their flash abilities change the game completely, shifting fight from close-range brawls to giant block-wide energy wars that require sharp tactical brains to control. Imagine carrying 2 permanent death rays behind your eyelids every single second of your life. Cyclops. Scott Summers, universally known as Cyclops, is the supreme field general and absolute definition of this blast-heavy tier. A traumatic childhood brain injury ruined his ability to turn off his mutation, causing his eyes to constantly fire red concussive energy. Comic lore reveals these ruby blasts do not generate heat. They're actually interdimensional portals opening directly into the realm of pure kinetic force. He wears custom ruby quartz visors everywhere because that special material blocks the non-stop energy stream. Cyclops uses a legendary geometric brain to bounce these concussive beams off walls, hitting targets around corners with extreme precision. The sheer scale of this unlocked power is genuinely horrifying to witness. When he takes off that protective visor, his raw beams can punch giant holes clean through solid granite mountains. During a terrifying showdown in World War Hulk, Scott unleashed a fully uninhabited optic blast that peeled skin right off the Hulk's indestructible body. On top of that, he once completely overloaded the energy-absorbing mutant Bishop with a single continuous beam. He's basically a walking military laser with zero chill. Gambit. Who thought a deck of shiny playing cards could trigger massive building-clearing explosions? Remy Etienne Lebeau, the smooth-talking thief guild member known as Gambit, brings explosive tier to this tactical tier. Raised by sneaky thieves in New Orleans, Gambit can touch non-living objects and convert their latent potential energy into wild volatile kinetic force. The charged object glows pink and explodes on impact, turning everyday pocket clutter into deadly military weapons. Playing cards cards are his favorite thrown weapon due to easy pocket storage, but his power works on huge objects too. Bigger mass means a much bigger bang. A charged card acts like a hand grenade, while a charged car can level a small house. What's deeper, his original mutant powers were so huge that he asked Mr. Sinister to surgically remove part of his brainstem just to keep from exploding. In an alternate reality New Sun storyline that leaked into main comic canon, Gambit controlled kinetic energy at a molecular level, blowing up targets with a simple sideways glance. Even with his powers turned down, he once used his staff to shatter Gladiator's dense alien armor. Never play poker with this guy unless you like explosive outcomes. Tier 4, Multi-Block Threat. Tier 4 launches us straight into the terrifying world of strategic citywide threats and mental monsters. Mutants sitting at this elite club hold massive power sets, complete mental control, and absurd energy stealing capabilities. They can single-handedly conquer, control, or erase whole combat arenas filled with enemy soldiers. Unlike straightforward blasters, these strategic heavyweights carry complex powers that bend the rules of engagement. Earth 616 considers them living weapons of mass destruction who force enemy generals to completely throw out their initial battle plans. They bypass body armor completely, striking directly at your mind, stealing your unique talents, or mind controlling an entire city before lunch. Emma Frost. What happens when you combine world-class telepathy with a physical body made of literal diamond? Emma Frost, the former White Queen of the Hellfire Club, dominates the mental spectrum of this high-level tier. Her high-level telepathy rivals absolute mental giants like Charles Xavier and Jean Grey. Comic pages show her erasing memories, casting massive mental illusions, causing instant psychological pain, and controlling giant crowds of people simultaneously. But wait! It gets even wilder. After the tragic Genosha genocide, she unlocked a secondary mutation that instantly turns her entire body into solid organic diamond. This diamond form gives her crazy physical invulnerability, letting her tank missile strikes without a single scratch. The catch? She cannot use her mental powers while locked to diamond mode because the dense structure blocks psionic waves. Her combat history is filled with terrifying mental and physical victories. She routinely wins brutal psychic wars against powerhouse telepaths like Rachel Summers. During World War Hulk, she used her diamond skin to absorb a full force punch from an enraged Hulk, surviving an impact that would turn normal humans into pink mist. She is classy, deadly, and completely unimpressed by your weak physical armor. Rogue. How terrifying would it be if a simple handshake could instantly steal your memories, soul, and superpowers? Rogue anchors the physical utility side of this strategic threat level with one of the scariest mutations in Marvel history. Skin-to-skin contact lets her absorb the powers, memories, physical strength, and personality of anyone she touches. The victim falls unconscious instantly, suffering severe mental damage. Long contact makes the steal permanent, which happens when she absorbed Carol Danvers and gained permanent super strength, flight, and near invulnerability for years. Comic history proves her ceiling is completely limitless when big threats show up. She has temporarily stolen the godlike traits of Thor, the Juggernaut, and the cosmic war god Ares, using their own strength to knock them out cold. During the iconic Extreme X-Men series, she absorbed the powers of her entire team at the exact same time, turning into a one-woman army to smash the alien warlord Vargas. She can instantly rewrite her own power set whenever she wants, making her an unpredictable living nightmare for enemy planners. Touch her, and you're basically donating your abilities to her personal collection. Tier 3, Planetary-scale forces. Tier 3 tosses basic local fistfights out the window and drags us straight into raw global destruction. Mutants sitting at this terrifying group wield elemental, electromagnetic, or atmospheric powers that show absolute zero natural biological limits inside their specific domains. These confirmed Omega-level powerhouses do not just fight bad guys on city streets. They reshape planetary climates, wreck global power grids, and decide whether the Earth gets to keep its atmosphere today. Earth 616 treats these legendary figures as living acts of nature who completely alter international politics just by waking up on the wrong side of the bed. They operate far above normal super teams, wielding sheer planetary control that can reset the entire global landscape in minutes. Storm. Ever wonder what happens when a local weather report gets backed by the full power of a literal goddess? Aurora Monroe, known everywhere as Storm, sits right at the top of this planetary destruction group. Worshipped across African plains before joining Charles Xavier's team, Ororo holds absolute Omega level command over all planetary and extraterrestrial weather systems. Biological wiring hooks her mind straight into the planet's vast electromagnetic field, letting her feel small pressure shifts and guide global biospheres with pinpoint accuracy. Comic lore demonstrates that she dictates planetary air pressure, guides atmospheric jet streams, commands solar winds, and controls tiny water drops at a subatomic level. What's even crazier, she once trapped massive city-leveling explosions inside tight impenetrable air domes by altering surrounding atmospheric pressure in a split second. During a desperate space fight, she gathered millions of tons of floating hydrogen gas across deep space to summon a massive cosmic storm that crippled advanced Shi'ar warships. What makes it even wilder, she routinely freezes moisture inside an opponent's lungs or drops lightning bolts straight out of the clear blue skies without a warning. Good luck bringing an umbrella to that specific fight. Magneto. Who knew having a massive bad attitude towards metal could make someone a literal world-ending threat? Max Eisenhart, the radical mutant leader known everywhere as Magneto, stands as Ororo's equal in this scary planetary class. Commanding the fundamental physical force of electromagnetism, his Omega-level abilities scale up to absurdly apocalyptic levels instantly. Bending heavy iron bars is just a tiny warm-up for his mind. Controlling the magnetic fields that hold the entire planet together forms the real core of his power. Mainstream comic pages show him building massive orbital space stations out of random space junk, projecting force fields that block nuclear bombs, and reversing the iron flow inside human veins. But the craziest part is what he did during the famous Fatal Attractions event, where he fired off a massive global electromagnetic pulse that fried the world's electrical grid and dropped civilization straight into the Dark Ages. Not to mention, he once locked his mind into an invisible magnetic field of a distant planet to pull the gigantic Break World bullet safely across deep space, a wild display of focus that put him in a long coma. Always bring wooden spoons when fighting with this angry grandpa. Tier 2, Reality Warping and Molecular Controllers. Tier 2 steps far past global weather and enters the mind-bending world of reality warping and total molecular command. Operatives in this absurd group ignore standard energy blasts, completely choosing instead to rewrite atomic structures, twist local spacetime, and ignore basic physics completely. Earth 616 Continuity treats them as beings untethered by basic biological rules, letting them reshape reality whenever they feel like it. Fighting these mutants with regular physical weapons is totally pointless. They could simply alter the molecular rules of the battlefield, turning your own gun into a pile of warm spaghetti before you can even pull the trigger. Iceman. What if a goofy superhero spent decades throwing basic snowballs while secretly hiding godlike molecular control inside his frozen brain? Bobby Drake, the classic founding X-Men known as Iceman, completely redefines this molecular group as an absolute Omega-level elemental threat. Simple ice slides and basic snowballs cover up for his true potential because severe mental insecurities kept his mind locked up tight for decades. Modern comic books prove Bobby does not just freeze tap water. He holds total command over all thermodynamic energy, letting him instantly drop local temperatures straight down to absolute zero and stop molecular movement entirely. Sentient ice forms his true body now. Dissolving his mind into global moisture lets him exist everywhere at once as pure water vapor, fully rebuilding his physical form from one single drop of water. What's worse, when Emma Frost hijacked his body, she proved Bobby could travel through the global water cycle, freeze every liquid inside a target, and create armies of ice clones across the planet. He even froze a massive nuclear explosion mid-blast and terraformed hostile alien worlds by spawning instant ice ages. Turns out the funny ice guy was secretly a terrifying frost god all along. Legion. How chaotic life got when your personal brain holds thousands of distinct superpowered personalities fighting for control every day? David Haller, the tragic son of Charles Xavier, known as Legion, operates as the ultimate reality warper inside this tier. Fractured mental health split his brain into thousands of separate personas, with every single personality wielding an independent god-tier mutant power. Severe trauma causes his broken mind to spawn brand new personas on the fly, making his potent skill list completely infinite. Comic lore classifies him as a walking Omega-level threat generator who rotates through global telepathy, deep space teleportation, wildfire creation, and total reality twisting. What's deeper, his absolute most famous act directly launched the Age of Apocalypse timeline when a time-traveling persona took him back decades to kill Magneto, accidentally murdering Charles Xavier instead, and resetting entire decades of history. On top of that, during the X-Men Legacy comic run, David used a reality-altering persona to erase the impossibly powerful Elder Gods right out of existence, completely rewriting fundamental cosmic rules without breaking a sweat. Family dinners with Charles Xavier must have been absolutely unbearable. Tier 1 Cosmic and Multiversal Scale. Tier 1 sits at the absolute pinnacle of mutant existence, featuring entities whose terrifying power scales far beyond Earth to break cosmic and multiversal structures. These godlike mutants rewrite, destroy, or rebuild entire timelines, giant star systems, and parallel universes with casual thoughts. Earth 616 continuity separates them from normal classification schemes, treating them as supreme cosmic avatars or bioengineered impossibilities that threaten the entire multiversal balance. They do not bother with simple ground fights. They manipulate the fabric of creation itself, acting as reality anomalies so vast that fundamental cosmic entities have to step in just to keep reality from snapping in half. Jean Grey. What happens when an already top-tier telepath bonds completely with the immortal embodiment of all life force in the universe? Jean Grey, acting as the true chosen avatar of the cosmic Phoenix Force, sits as the undisputed queen of this multiversal group. Jean holds innate Omega-level telepathy and telekinesis on her own, but blending her soul with the Phoenix Force transforms her into a true universal constant. The Phoenix itself manifests all past, present, and future psionic energy across the entire multiverse. Comic history shows Jean manipulating unlimited cosmic energy, raising the dead, breaking matter down at an atomic level, and projecting galaxy-spanning telepathy. But that's not even the worst part. During the legendary Dark Phoenix saga, a corrupt Jean ate an entire living star just to satisfy her cosmic hunger, instantly wiping out 5 billion Dabari aliens in a single horrifying moment of cosmic consumption. Furthermore, while acting as the White Phoenix of the Crown, she reached directly into the space-time continuum to rewrite complex alternate timelines and repair the broken multiverse with her bare hands. She dies a lot, but she always comes back angrier and way more powerful. Nate Gray. Can an artificially grown mutant baby carry so much raw psionic energy that his own physical body starts burning away from the inside? Nate Gray, famously known as X-Man, completes this cosmic tier as a walking monument to limitless psionic power. Born inside the dark Age of Apocalypse timeline, Mr. Sinister genetically engineered Nate using DNA taken directly from Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Designed specifically as the ultimate biological weapon, Nate's physical body constantly struggles to hold his overflowing energy reserves. He commands Omega-level telepathy, mind-boggling telekinesis, and reality-altering tricks that make almost every other mortal being look completely helpless. Earth 616 comics prove this terrifying scale over and over again. When unleashed without physical limits, he effortlessly created entire parallel realities, pulling living alternate worlds right out of the astral plane to house mutant kind during the massive Age of X-Men event. What's even crazier, he continuously stops localized time, fights powerful cosmic entities across infinite dimensions simultaneously, and rebuilds his physical form from pure energy after getting completely vaporized. He's basically what happens when a science experiment goes way too right. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.